Hey everybody, it's Wayne Nichols here to give you an update for all the activity that went down in my accounts for the second week of January. And it was a roller coaster of a ride. The first few days of the second week of January were doing rather good. And then Friday, we saw a little bit of a roller coaster. So let's see everything that I purchased, how we finished out percentage-wise, and some covered calls that I made, along with dividends. An action-packed video. So I'll make it as fast as I can because I know these videos can run long. But thanks again for tuning in. If you guys are visiting for the first time, my name is Wayne Nichols, and I retired in 2020 from law enforcement. And soon thereafter, I realized I hadn't done enough to build multiple streams of income. So I've gone back to work full time. I am laser focused on building generational wealth. And that really comes down to building out multiple streams of income. So I am going to be focused in 2023 on dividend stocks, long-term growth, and selling options to generate that extra cash flow. I'd love for you guys to subscribe and follow me on my journey. So let's start off with the first of my two brokerage accounts that I always talk about, which is M1, and then we'll get into Robinhood. And you can see here my current portfolio value stands at about 118,000. Now for the week, I was able to finish just shy of 2% for a total return. Now that does factor in some earned dividends. So keep in mind when you are looking at the M1 portfolio, you need to keep in mind that there could be some earned dividends that are factored in. Didn't earn too many dividends through M1 for this week, but I hope that changes for next month now that I've transferred a great deal of stocks over from Robinhood. But you can see here, I'm at 118. I had a gain of about 2,000 for the week. And if we scroll down and look at my slices, you'll see everything is looking pretty good. Oddly enough, it's my monthly dividend slice that saw the biggest increase of the week with nearly 3.5%. Rather surprising. My long-term hold, guys, it's same as it was before. I am slowly daily cost averaging on primarily my long-term hold slice. That's $150 per week. So we'll get into those purchases as well. So let's go into activity. And you'll see here for everything that and we'll just focus on trading. I had 3 buys this week, or 3 transactions, I should say. You guys know that I have $50 on Monday, 50 on Wednesday, 50 on Friday. So for my first buy of the week, or my first set of transactions for the week, I made 6 purchases, and no surprise, these are all new additions to the long-term growth slice in M1. So it split $50 amongst these 6 positions. I also had a dividend worked in there, so that was distributed as well. Let's take a look at Wednesday. I think everything's going to look the same throughout the week. Again, $50 spread out across 6 buys. Now what's going to happen is as these positions slowly get built up to their allocated percentage, then the money that I have going to the long-term hold slice, additional funds will be allocated to, the other positions. And I think I've got 25 in there. We'll go and take a look at Friday, which was today. Again, $50 allocated to these 6 stocks. Again, no surprise. If we go back to my portfolio, let's scroll down and look at the long-term hold. And you can see all the stocks in here. Some of these stocks I transferred over from Robinhood, so they're already overweight on that targeted position. Let's go ahead and look at the value, and that should give you an indicator as to why, these bottom 6 stocks are receiving the most money. So currently ExxonMobil is funded less than the targeted 5%. The same thing goes for UNP, less than the 6%, J&J, and so forth. So that's why these 6 particular stocks are receiving pretty much the bulk of the 150 per week. Now, what I really hope to see happen in the next month is all of the stocks that I have in my monthly dividend portfolio, those are going to start generating what I think to be dividends maybe 2 to 3 times a week. That's how many stocks I have in that monthly portfolio. And maybe it won't be 2 or 3 times every week, but it'll certainly be sporadically throughout the month. You couple that with my weekly contributions across 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I think, right, these target percentages are going to get evened out rather quickly. So I'm really excited about that. Let's go back to activity and take a look at all the dividends that I received during this week. And if I'm not mistaken, it really wasn't a very eventful week. As a matter of fact, you can see I have not received a dividend this week, which technically began on Monday the 9th. So maybe next week we'll see a dividend pop up in M1, but that's my activity in the M1 portfolio. Let's go ahead and jump over to the Robinhood portfolio. Remember, I've got two different brokerage accounts. If you're asking the question, Wayne, why wouldn't you transfer all of your stocks from Robinhood to M1? Remember, I am actively selling covered calls as well as cash secured puts in Robinhood. Now, you have to own 100 shares to sell covered calls. One of the strong points that I love Robinhood is they do not charge any fees whatsoever on those covered calls or cash secured puts. Many brokerages out there charge, it's very nominal. A very small sort of amount, I think like 70 cents to $1 I've seen other brokerages charge. But for me, you guys are going to see my statistics for 2022 as well as 2023. I sell a lot of covered calls. And so, just saving what could be, 40 to 70 cents per transaction, it's really nice. So let's take a look at Robinhood. With my holdings, I'm currently at just over 380K. For the week, we did rather good. You can see here that I was up just 3% in this Robinhood portfolio. That's a gain of nearly 11,000 for the week. It's interesting because it's a great thing to see this portfolio jump up 3%, but you're going to see how this had a negative impact on the covered calls that were already sold from last week. So I had to do a lot of juggling, a lot of rolling my positions. But guys, guess what? It's a good problem to have. Let's go ahead and take a look at the dividends that I received in Robinhood for this week. And I actually like the app view. You can look at your received dividends within the Robinhood web interface, but I just really like how it looks in the cell phone. I'm using an iPhone. I like the interface of this. So we'll start here with the first dividend received for the week. Again, the week began January 9th. So the first dividend that I received was from the Altria Group. My first dividend, by the way, from Altria, ticker symbol MO for $9.40. And you guys can see here, I'm not going to go through every single one. I'd like to do a more detailed summary at the end of the month. But take a look at some of my bigger earners here in Robinhood. And some of these are going to be the last time you see these dividends come in for this brokerage. So O Realty Group is a monthly payer REIT, R-E-I-T. That's paying me about $50 approximately every month. And up until now, when I received that dividend in Robinhood, it was simply reinvested in or back into O. Now I have transferred over O to M1. So I hope that those monthly dividends are going to be put to better use. Same thing with Horizon. You see a dividend of $66.58. That's a monthly payer. MDT, ADC, WPC Carry came in with a dividend of $7.95. We have one from ORCC, IRPR. So for the week, I've got my math here. I made $149.67. That's how much I received this week alone in dividends. Now, right now, those dividends essentially get put into my Robinhood brokerage account. One thing I want to point out, and I am working on a video, from the gains that I am receiving from the dividend stocks that I currently have in my Robinhood, I thought, let's put those to good use. And if I have a goal to obtain 100 shares of Costco and 100 shares of IWM, UPS and Costco are the two stocks currently that I'm looking to get to 100 shares. So I actually created a daily contribution rule in Robinhood, and I'll work on a video to show you how. Again, I go back to it's so important to consider daily cost averaging. Just this week, we saw a roller coaster of stocks going up and down. It's really nice that I got the average of that entire week. So there you have all of the dividends that I received for Robinhood. Didn't get any in M1, but again, with everything that I pushed over to M1, we should start seeing some more stocks. And let's go ahead and finish out with my covered calls. You guys know I love to generate cash flow through selling covered calls. I'm very passionate about it. I'd like to think that I'm pretty good at it. take a look at all the positions here that expired this week on the 13th, and you're seeing a lot of positions in orange. Remember, the orange color code represents that I had to roll close that position. And what that really means is, clearly when I sold, for example, a covered call for Tesla, my strike price was 117. Well, if I'm having to roll close my position, that means that the stock share for Tesla went above that 117. And you guys know my goal with selling covered calls is to not have those shares called away from me. So I had to roll almost every covered call that I wrote last week. So that's Tesla, Apple, Amazon, Google, IWM, Microsoft, Target, and a few more. So, that's a good problem to have, because that obviously means that the value of those stocks have gone up. It's a bad thing in the sense that, I need to be cautious, because if that share price continues to go up, I run the risk of those shares being called away from me. So I had to strategically roll out of a lot of these positions. So take a look here, guys. It's just the middle of January, and I've already written 62 covered calls, and we're not even completely through January. Let's give you guys a breakdown of the statistics. And one thing I want to point out yet again, the reason I am showing my 2022 statistics, if you remember from an earlier video, technically some of these covered calls that I have written in 2022, they are still open. Some of them expire even next week. And so until I close out every covered call or every cash secured put that I wrote in 2022, these numbers, meaning the gross premium I've earned, it could slightly decrease. So I have shown a couple of videos just in the last few weeks, and my overall premium for 2022, I think it went down from 25,000 to 23,000. It's still not a bad number. I certainly will not be in the red. When it's all said and done, I fully expect my net premium received in 2022, that's for covered calls I sold and cash secured puts that I sold, I still believe that I'm going to be well above $50,000. This may go down by a couple of hundred, but I still feel confident that I'll be just above 50,000. So that leads me to where are we at in 2023? Well, with covered calls, I've earned just over $5,000. Writing a total of 62 contracts. Remember, I do expect this number to fluctuate until we get into February or March. Then after every contract is either roll closed or closed out early, expired, or knock on wood, right? We don't want this to happen, but those shares could be called away, so I am assigned. But in the meantime, guys, this is really nice. This is gross premium that has currently been deposited into my brokerage account. Now, it doesn't mean that I went out and spent $5,100 on other stocks. I'm going to go ahead and keep this cash flow in the account, but eventually I am going to take these profits and I'm going to go ahead and focus on my goals, which include, as I mentioned before, obtaining 100 shares of UPS and 100 shares of Costco. Now, why those particular two stocks, besides their, them being fantastic stocks to own for the long term? I really do think I can generate some significant cash premium for selling covered calls, again, both on Costco and UPS. So that's a goal that I have amongst reaching $15K in annual dividend income. And I think we're off to a great start. So from having a strong week in the market, I'm up both in my Robinhood and M1. I sold some covered calls here, about $5,000 worth. Again, that number deserves to have an asterisk next to it. Technically, some of these are rolled positions from 2022. I addressed that in an earlier video. But again, as soon as we get closer to February, I feel confident that these numbers will be locked in, and now I won't have to kind of explain, well, technically I didn't make, 5,100 or 1,200 or 500. I'll be able to say, guys, I've grossed this much. So stay tuned, got some great content coming your way. Hope you guys don't mind that I squeezed all 3 updates in this one video. You guys are fantastic. If you guys have any questions, throw it out there in the comment. And of course, if you guys are enjoying the content, I hope you're following along. Hope you're smashing that like button. We'll see you on the next one, guys.